Normally we have a lot of things to discuss when it comes to Cardano, when it comes to ADA, when it comes to BTC, and waking up and looking through the data and the news this morning, things are quite quiet this weekend. And that has actually been a very beneficial thing. And in fact, just looking through some of this and knowing what we have coming over the course of this next week, I would not want to be a bear in the crypto market. I would not want to be betting against the move that is about to come. I'm Luckside. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell. Again, it's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So right now, looking at ADA price, we're doing a very nice thing today and yesterday. These have been very good days in terms of ADA after our obviously drop with uncertainty happening overseas. We had a 2.3% day yesterday. We started today at a 1.32% gain. So two very good days for ADA to try to get back above the bottom of its rainbow regression curve. And what's helping with this is obviously BTC showing a little strength here too. BTC has set a very strong floor around the 66.6 level. And right now it is testing the top of this bull pennant that it is in. And hopefully this leads to a nice explosive week ahead because we are in fact pressed up against something very bullish. And what I have to say is that ADA now 3 times this cycle has in fact breached the bottom of its rainbow regression curve. It did it all the way back here in the start of August. It did it back here again in September. And now we've done it a 3rd time here in the latter part of October. And what I have to say is that every single time ADA has made a very nice rebound, a very strong push back to the upside. All right. You guys see we ran from basically 27.5 all the way up to 40, just over 40 cents. We ran from basically 30.38 all the way up to what 41.5. And so now we've gone through this process of again setting a higher low here. And now the question is, does that mean ADA is going to go on a very nice surge to somewhere up around that like 43-cent range? We'll have to wait and see. These moves did not happen in a day. So be patient when it comes to that. But we're also entering some better times when it comes to ADA. Now, looking at what short interest is doing, guys, they are still trying to push the market down. They're trying to weigh heavily and create uncertainty and create that fear that we've seen over the course of the week. And because of that, they've gotten a little too confident. Right now, you guys can see that short interest does outweigh long interest, which is a good thing because the market makers will try to punish those who push too hard. And right now you guys can see we are right up against the edge of massive short interest. Even on the 7-day, you guys can see up against massive short interest, 5.17 billion versus 4 billion. Okay. So the shorts are trying to push the market down. And this may be a week where they do in fact get punished. And there's a big reason why. We have 2 things taking place this week that people need to be aware of. So first of all, October 31st, we have the PCE report. So that'd be a good, obviously identifier there about whether inflation is still getting under control, if it's being sticky. The last couple PCE reports have actually been decent. So pay attention for that. But the biggest thing we need to pay attention to actually takes place on the 30th, on Wednesday, because we are supposed to get our Q3 GDP report. That is the most important thing because people have had questions about recession, right? That's probably the number one concern for people, not just in crypto, but in the economy in general. And unfortunately, the high prices, inflation being a little sticky, delays in obviously cutting rates, it's caused some of these concerns. And this Q3 GDP report is going to be a good indication of, are we slowing down? Is the economy staying strong? Are we about to tip into a recession? So that is something to pay attention to. The advanced estimates that we've seen now have actually looked pretty decent. They're expecting a 4.6% Q3 increase, which would actually be I think that'd be pretty strong, to be honest with you guys. So that's what we need to pay attention to on Wednesday. And now we may have a little bit of momentum building into that moment. So that's really what we need to pay attention to as we head into this week. Now, we are also on the verge of obviously closing out October. October has not been very kind to ADA. Historically speaking, it is not kind to ADA. If you guys look at last cycle, October was bad. And then we got hit with a very nice November. It is what was essentially the catalyst for ADA to start taking off. It's when alts, historically speaking, begin to go on some of their runs. So next month may provide a better indication of trajectory for ADA in the near term. Now, the biggest thing we're still waiting for, guys, is BTC dominance to drop off. And that has not happened yet in the cycle. That is the indication of alt season. And BTC dominance has done something it does not historically do, and that's breach this long-term trend. Every cycle, we've had this moment where BTC tops and drops off. And that doesn't mean BTC price is dropping, but it's where you have higher inflows from outside the space. It's where you see alts begin to receive those inflows and they start to really gain major ground versus Bitcoin. And while there was an indication of that earlier on this year, specifically around March, that hasn't been the case for most of it. And what we've seen is the only real new capital that's entering the space right now. Now, I'm not saying there's not any, but it's mostly institutional money. When they're buying billions of dollars worth of BTC a week, it's going to move the price of BTC up. It's going to slightly drag alts, but then every time we get a shakeout and retail gets uncertain, they're going to dump some of their assets. But guess what? When institutional money continues to buy BTC, you're not seeing that BTC dominance drop off. That's where this cycle is a little bit different than ones prior because of the player in the space. And that player is a large entity that sees the long-term vision. So what we've talked about in my Discord and my Patreon, if you guys are interested in becoming members of that, there's a link in the description below. You guys have access to my portfolio. You can see when I'm buying, when I'm selling, what I'm paying attention to. We have a chat going on constantly, so feel free to check that out. We've talked about this top being somewhere around this 60% range. And from a time standpoint, that makes a lot of sense, kind of right up in here. Maybe we see a little bit of correction here and a little bit of pushback, but there will be a point where the retail confidence is very high. It's not very high yet. It's started to improve, but it hasn't been as good as it needs to be to see some of that new capital enter the space. But when that does take place, that's when you will see something like ADA start to make up some ground. So we'll have to wait and see if ADA can make this push towards this 43-cent range as we get into probably the next week or two here. We'll see if BTC does a good job of gaining ground this week and start liquidating some of the shorts. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think we see as we get into this week? Are we going to have a good GDP report? Do you think that this is a week where you would not want to bet against the market as well? So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Show your love below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.